I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
What were some of the things that you noticed in the 2020 elections that maybe weren't mainstream?
I actually predicted, and I had over 1.5 million downloads of this article. I predicted that Trump would win. And when I missed it by 42,918 votes total in 3 states. Had I done that, I would have. I nailed the total vote. I nailed the popular vote winner. I predicted Biden would win the popular vote. I thought Trump would win the Electoral College. He missed it by 42,918 votes. Think about this. Had 21,500 Biden voters had gone into the booth and said, you know what, I'm not voting for Biden, I'm voting for Trump, Trump would be president right now. Just 21,500 voters out of 100 and I don't know, was it 160, 170 million votes?
That's crazy.
That's how close this came to, right? So what did I find in the Biden playbook that people may not have talked about? You probably know the actions Biden took, but you don't know why he took these actions. And by the way, do I think mass voter fraud happened? No. Do I think the social media companies definitely influenced the election on the front end of the election? I do. I 100% do. When they were banning stories and not letting stories get out, that influenced the election. But do I think massive voter fraud happened? I just don't. I don't, until I see the evidence, I'm just not convinced of it. So how did Biden win legitimately? So my thing is this. The first thing his team did is they go, okay, we got to figure out what voters want. And it was very clear that the same thing that elected Donald Trump for president in 2016 was holding him back as well. I know he got more votes than any candidate in the history of American politics this past election cycle, except for Joe Biden, which is a crazy thought, right?
That is,
and he
crazy,
actually increased his vote share by like 15%, which is, I'm talking about Trump, which never happens for someone that's running for re-election. You usually decrease because people get tired of you. But what we knew this in the data, and the Biden people knew this in the data. They knew that Trump and his response to the coronavirus was wearing thin. Okay.
When you do testing to that extent, you're going to find more people. You're going to find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
They were just tired of the bluster. They wanted them to be more humble and help help them understand what was going on. Instead of telling us everything was going to be great and great and great and great, great all the time. Right. And so the Biden people knew that. They also knew that when you engage Trump one-on-one, he's going to beat you every time. That if you try to fight him, he's going to knock your knees out. He's never going to quit. He's the most relentless person in the world to win the battle.
A lot of people died, and a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker.
So, Mr. President? Did you use the word smart? So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me.
And they knew that. And so what did they do? They hid Biden in a basement for the entire summer and through the fall. And then they did it because they knew that if Trump was left on his own and no one punched back at him, he would wear even more thin with voters, that they would get even more tired of him. It was a very strategic decision, but it was based on what the data, the voter data told them. They said, don't engage with him, because if you don't engage with him, he's the only voice out there and is going to wear thin with the voters. And so that was their strategy.
Yeah.
And that's why when Biden disappeared forever and ever, and people were like, this is insane. Well, no, they knew what they were doing. This was very strategic and very deliberative.
Yeah.
And so
kind of the same thing when they were trying to dodge those, the debates at the end too, right?
Right. 100%.
Yeah. Just looking
now
for a reason
you're
to try to
talking
blame
about
it on so that they didn't have to be in the situation.
Yes. Right. But you're talking about, again, Trump lost by a difference of 21,500 votes.
Right.
Trump's team knew exactly what they were doing, and they were following the data as well. The race was a freaking toss-up, man.
Yeah.
I mean, people People just don't understand how close that is. Now, I was a part of the 2000 election, Bush v. Gore, and I was part of the recount. So, don't forget, George W. Bush in 2000 beat Al Gore by 537 votes in the state of Florida, and that swung the entire election down. 537 votes out of 120 million cast in the country. And it came down to Florida, where almost 6 million votes were cast in the state of Florida in 2000, and Bush won it by 537 votes. That was even crazier race, right? And then, Trump in 16 won by a total of 77,000 votes over 3 states, had 37,000 voters that were planning to vote for Trump switched to Hillary Clinton in 2016. She would be president. So, I mean, we're talking coin tosses. And so when you come from a business that's coin tosses and billions of dollars and power and policy are all affected by that, from a marketer standpoint, that's all you think about is how do I out innovate my competitors? Like I work in a live or die mentality, because if I don't win more than I lose, I'm out of business in politics.
Yeah.
And so when we took that mindset and created the corporate marketing firm that works with businesses, the ones that will adopt that mentality and follow our 5 steps, they grow every time. And the people that go, yeah, that's interesting, not interested, they're the ones that end up coming back, or they're the ones that never solve the problem to begin with. What I try to do in this book is I focused on 3 things. One is to try to help business owners understand that political marketing is the most innovative force in marketing today and where it came from. So this is a slight history of modern day history take and understanding of how marketing has evolved over the last 21 years.
Yeah.
It would take us too long on this podcast for me to get into it, but it's super interesting. And the second thing is, this whole book teaches this formula, but it only teaches this formula through stories. So if you like textbooks, this is not your book. It is not a textbook how-to book. It is a how-to book told through political war stories. So super interesting stories from political campaigns, past and present, how George W. Bush won his election, behind the scenes, the things you never heard about, how Barack Obama did it, how Trump did it, how Biden did it.